Coming up next on Get Caught in a Net.
You are now tuned in to Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette, where your hosts, Annette Harris, analyze intriguing life questions and concerns, such as, do Christians suffer from mental illness? Have you wondered why they act abnormal? Or you may ask, what is really going on in their minds? Do you need Annette? Well, keep listening for a biblical understanding of the psychology of the mind.
Great afternoon, guys, and welcome to another wonderful segment of Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette, brought to you by Get Caught in a Net Incorporated, of which I am CEO. I am your host of this particular segment and also your award-winning author of that bestseller, Surviving a Silenced Heartbeat. Listen, guys, come on in. It is Wednesday, 12 noon Central Standard Time. I always say, if you see my face at that time, it is time for you to come on in and get caught in the net. I'm excited because, of course, we're at the beginning of the year, and today we're going to feature, of course, the first segment for for health and wellness for mind, body, and soul. But before I get started, Lord, we thank you for all things. We thank you for who you are, how you're blessing. We thank you for a new year. And even though things may look a little bit uncertain for us, Lord, we're still placing our hope and our trust in you. And we pray that you would get the glory out of this segment and everything we go to say to do. In Jesus' name we pray. And the first part of Hosea 4:6 states, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee. And I always say we don't want to be rejected by God. We want to hear and learn everything that he has for us while we're living here in this present world. Listen, guys, I am live on a couple of different platforms here. I have my setup here. I'm live, of course, on Facebook, Annette, Get Caught in a Net. Also live on Instagram, Get Caught in a Net. My YouTube channel, Get Caught in a Net. And I did something a little different today. I'm live on my TikTok. TikTok. So we'll see what happens with it. It's my first time being live on TikTok with this particular show. I've done my own live feeds on TikTok before, but we want to kind of introduce this platform to you as well. So I'm going to bring in Dr. Hill, and I do ask that if you would make sure you can tag folks directly into this live feed. Tag someone on today. You can throw up the thumbs up, the heart, the care button, and let them know that we are live. Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette is live. We have been in existence for this year. It'll be 12 years. And so we are bringing together the psychological and spiritual aspect of everyday life and, trying to relate it to what it is that we're dealing with. And every month we are blessed to have a segment on health and wellness. I'm going to bring in my guest because Dr. Shirley Hill is, I say guest, but I kind of use that word lightly. She's a part of the family. She is with Mo Faith Nutritional Services, and that is her foundation, her organization. She's the CEO. She's the woman over there. And so we are blessed to collaborate with her. We've been doing this now for about 7 or 8 years. Collaborating, having her coming on once a month so that she can talk to us about our health and our wellness. Now, I will tell you this before we get into our topic title on today, that if you have any health and wellness related questions, whether they're related to the topic of discussion or any health and wellness related questions you may have, about yourself, maybe you've gone through something since the last month that she was here with us and you want to ask Dr. Hill, because I do encourage you to do that while you're live on here. You have her ears, and she's willing to listen to you, so you can throw them into the comment section, and we will try to get over there and read them to her. Because after she goes off the air, you need to pay her by going to her website and getting her products, her services. And if you look down at the bottom of her name, you'll see Mofaith NS, MOPHETHNS.com. So thank you guys again for joining us all over the world. Yeah, we'll say that. Dr. Hill, how are you on this afternoon?
I am great. And I'll tell you how great I'm doing when we are off the air.
Okay.
I did one of my famous falls yesterday.
No, no.
Yes,
That's health and wellness, lady. What
yes.
was it some black ice or something?
It wasn't black ice. I had I was taking a gentleman a few dollars for the train. He and his daughter had little 4-year-old daughter had got stuck in Chicago. And so I told him, I said, you wait right here. I ran home to get it, got it, and came back and gave it to him. But at the post office, there is a rise which I had never noticed before. And so I had turned to come back to my apartment and realized that his coat did not look like for yesterday's weather. And so I went to turn to try to catch him and tell him to wait, let me go get him. Because, I got all these brand new men's coats hanging around in my apartment for if I see someone that needs a coat, I'll take it to them. And so when I swung around to try to run and catch him, that my foot hit that rise.
Ooh.
And I fell face first on that concrete. I did not, it wasn't pretty either. It was,
You did a face plant?
Yeah.
You face planted? Oh my gosh.
I did. I had prints all over me everywhere. And I know there were those in the post office and, out in the parking that saw me. But I'm sure they couldn't stop laughing long enough to come and help me. So
No.
I just laid there. I just laid there. And I thought to myself, did I knock my teeth out? Because I hit my face so hard on that sidewalk. And so finally, a young lady was getting out of one of the trucks to, whatever she does for the post office, and saw me laying down there. And she said, are you all right? And I'm thinking to myself, I wouldn't be laying here on the ground if I was.
But that's going to be her first question, Oh, man. I am so sorry to hear that. I hate that happened.
It's, you know what? The one thing that I know is if I'm not careful, especially when we're doing things like we're doing now, when we're praying and fasting and praying, and then we, this first 100 days, we're, I should have been more careful because I know, that whenever something like this is going on, I always end up falling on my face and my knees. It never fails.
Lord trying to tell you to pray.
Well, we are praying. I think it's more the enemy trying to beat me up
because you're praying. Right. Exactly. No, I get it. Oh, I am so sorry. And this just happened yesterday, right?
Oh yeah, this was yesterday. I was supposed to do some taping and things to get to Brandy. Okay. And I couldn't because of swelling and all of those kinds of things. So, but I'm good. I'm good because I didn't break a bone. I didn't. I skint myself up, but some resale. It does the job. So I just slathered myself.
Okay, great, great, great. And guys, just if you didn't know, Resell is that's her one of her products that she Lord blessed her to create, and she can tell you more about that. But I'm grateful that you're much better. I really am. Wow, the day before health and wellness. Okay, we're praying for you. We're praying for you. So let's jump right in because we have this. The genetics of COVID is our
Mhm.
topic title for today,
Yes.
and I know a lot of times since 2020, it's almost been kind of like taboo to talk about anything related to it, but these are some things that we need to know. And uh oh, okay. Somebody said, wait, what happened yesterday? Brandy, she's gonna have to tell she's gonna have to tell you a little bit later. I know. And thanks for coming in. Thanks to each of you for coming in. Janice, I think I see Demetra Pitts. Oh, she has to run out. She said she'll catch the replay. Well, thank you for dropping by, Demetra. We appreciate you. And Janice has liked and shared, and she is greeting us. So yeah, you guys, when you come in, go ahead and just tag individuals, push this out so we'll get a chance to share this with those, the first health and wellness of 2025. The genetics of COVID. The genetics of COVID. I always like for you to give your background as to how you came around to this particular title for today. So if you wouldn't mind doing that for us.
Sure. I came around this with this title because I realized that we have absolutely no idea what COVID is.
Ooh.
We have absolutely no idea what it does and what we're dealing with. And now we're really in dire straits because our new president has divided us from the World Health Organization and all of the other organizations who are monitoring this entity around the world, which means that we won't know what's going on around the world until we, the people, will not be aware of what's going on around the world with this entity
Yeah.
until it's already on our shores and we are scrambling to catch up with whatever is going on. And that was my thought, that we need to know more than what we know because we have no idea what we are dealing with.
Yeah. And that is thank you for that, because I would totally agree with that. We do need to know, because we can get so much, and you mentioned these terms prior to us starting: misinformation and disinformation about just about anything, and we don't know what it is or how it could affect us and how it
Yes.
is or will affect us. So thank you for wanting to share about the genetics of it, so that we can have a better understanding. And I believe that we could all benefit from this. So let's just jump right in. Again, guys, if you have questions or comments regarding health and wellness or regarding the topic of discussion, which is the genetics of COVID. And as you may have just heard, Dr. Hill is sharing that she wants to talk about this because we don't really know what it is. And she can probably say that probably because of how we've been acting and or reacting. I'm sure that's where she gets that from. Or how we've been handling it. So let's just jump right into it, Dr. Hill.
Mhm. Oh, well, I'm trying to think of where I should start. Um, well, the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, he said and I bet no one even knew, last month was the International Day of Epidemic Preparedness.
Last month?
Last month, December 24th.
I did not know.
Uh-huh. I can almost guarantee you that most, especially in the United States of America, we probably never even knew there was such a thing. And so he said in his speech, he said the COVID-19 crisis may may have passed. He said, but the harsh lesson remains that the world is woefully unprepared for another pandemic.
Mm.
And so, what they are expecting now, what they are watching extremely closely now, is the H5N1 virus. And the H5N1 virus is that bird flu that's going around.
Right, right.
Yeah, yeah. And they said that it has a very high risk globally, globally, to turn into an epidemic or another pandemic. Now, I remember back in the early 20s, so what is like 2003 or something like that, I would come out of my apartment to go wherever I was going, and I'd have to step over dead birds. And whenever I went out of my apartment, went downstairs, there would be dead birds laying on the sidewalk, laying on my stairs, laying on the stoop. And at first, it was like a dead bird. What is this? But then when it was every day, and nobody was saying anything. See, that was the thing that was bothering me. I know what I'm seeing with my eyes, but I'm not hearing anyone saying anything about it. And it was back then that was that first when we had I think it was the avian flu, the bird flu, because this one is the avian flu, and they're not the same. They're not the same. But as it turned out, we did have pretty close to another epidemic with that bird flu. And now we have it. And see, what we don't realize is that these things don't go away because we call it the whooping cough. And we call, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, okay, because I'm trying to relate, because you said that was back in what, 2003? That
was in that around that area, 2003.
Okay. So it's been about 22 years.
Here we are in 2024.
Right. 2025. So it's been about 22 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And to give you a global perspective, because they're calling this a whooping cough too. But they're looking at this is a global threat. It's a global threat. It is here in America. And if you pay attention, you'll see a lot of people are walking around saying they have a cold.
Yeah.
Yep. And so I remember when we went to Haiti, I'm just kind of throwing in little examples. When we went to Haiti, was it the first time? I think it was the first time, somewhere between the first and the third time. I couldn't sleep all night long because I heard this whooping cough. I heard somebody's baby that was coughing up sounded like they were coughing up their little lungs. And so the first thing in the morning, I got one of those big, beautiful mangoes and broke it down and mixed it with Resale. And then I went down looking for the baby. And I found them, I think they were down there washing or something, and she didn't understand me and I didn't understand her, but I took that baby out of her arms and took that baby back upstairs and began to feed the little boy he couldn't even walk yet, but I began to feed him this Resale and this mango. And he just loved it. Oh, he ate all of it. And so then every morning after that, he was at the stairs trying to crawl up so he could get his mango and his pre-sale. But he did not cough, not another time. He did, after that night, you did not hear him cough, not another time. And so, and I'm saying that to say we're looking in the wrong place we're looking in the wrong places for our deliverance.
Right.
And then we get worse. Pardon me, our condition either gets worse or it lasts longer and progresses to something that is that's unmanageable, and then we have it for a very long time. Because we don't look in the right place, and you know where I'm going with that.
Right.
And
Right.
so, yeah, I'm sorry.
No, I was just agreeing with you.
Okay.
We are not looking in the right places, but go ahead.
And so then the UN, this gentleman, Guterres, he said we are woefully, woefully, and this is all of the nations. We are not prepared for another pandemic, but they are looking at this avian influenza, this H5N1. They're saying that this could be the one that would be the next pandemic. And so now we see that we have no connection to the people in the other nations that are watching for these things and alerting the rest of the world as to what might be going on and what is going on. All of our preparedness has been it has been dismantled. That's the word I'm looking for. It's been dismantled. We had a president that stated that that was the one thing that kept him up at night, was thinking about, you know, an epidemic or a pandemic and what needed to be done to keep a watch for the nation.
Right.
And so they put things in place for that before they went out of office. Now that was dismantled. That was dismantled several years ago. The monies was used for other things. And so then here we are, we're left defenseless. This is not a political rant. What I am trying to get you to see is that if you are going to be, if anything is going to be done to protect you, you're going to have to do it yourself.
Right.
You're going to have to do it yourself. And so we already know how many people, we know how fast this can spread and how many people can die. And so then what we need to do, that's why it's imperative that we know what we're looking at. That we know what we're looking at. Yeah. We know what we're looking at, we know what it does, and we know what we need to do to protect ourselves. And so,
wow.
yeah.
This is so interesting. I want to, interject here because you I mean, you're making plain sense. We won't know what to attack or what to deal with, unless we understand. And you mentioning about, in was it 2003 when you say you kept seeing the birds, but you weren't hearing anything about it. So we have to educate ourselves, is what I hear you saying, and knowing what it is we're dealing with. Now, this H1N1, is that correct?
H5N1.
Oh, H5.
H1N1 was back then.
Okay.
H5N1 is today, going on right now. This is the one that they're watching that could actually end up being another pandemic.
Another pandemic. And this is also called the bird flu. I mean, what is that called?
It is called the bird flu. It's the avian flu.
Okay.
It's the avian flu, and it is birds. Now, wait, back then, we blame everything on China and Africa, but
right.
back then they were talking about the birds, or it was the what's the bird that lives in the caves?
A bat? I don't know.
That's it. See, I knew you wouldn't have the answer.
Right.
Back then, that's supposedly how and where it originated from. The bats
Mm.
in the cave, so forth and so on.
Okay.
Well,
All right.
you know how that goes. And so we forget, you can hear that it's in Asia, you can hear that it's in India, you can hear that it's something going on. And our mind says, oh, that's, way over there. But we forget about airplanes.
Mm.
We forget about trains, buses, and all of those kind of things. We forget. It doesn't take that amount of time for you to go halfway around the world.
That's so
And
true.
yeah, yeah. And I tell you, one of the times that I think it was the first time that I caught COVID, uh,
On the
maybe the
airplane.
second, I was on a plane. I was on a plane, and several people got on coughing, and I was really irritated because one came and sat by me, and then one came and sat across from me, and they were all sniffling and coughing, and the plane didn't require that they have on a mask. And see, during that time we were wearing masks, and I think I took my mask down to drink something. That was a mistake, because when I got home, I had COVID.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just that simple, and it's just that fast. And I don't know where our mind is. We just had all of these people die. And I had to ban the gentleman from being on my page because he was, anyway.
Okay.
Because I'm not going to let you come on my page and talk crazy uh, and disrespect all of the people that have lost loved ones.
Yeah.
They have lost children. They have lost husbands and wives. They have lost mothers and fathers, and pastors have lost large portions of their congregations. And you want to um, try to get a platform to say, oh, it's a lie, all these people didn't die. Go take that somewhere.
Right. Somewhere else, because we know the reality of it.
Yes.
Let me read a couple of comments. I thank you for coming in, Minister Gloria. Apostle Hunt is here. Says, "Hey, ladies," and he also said, "Facts." Yeah, she is spewing out some facts, isn't she? Brandy says, "It only takes a second," and I kind of want to talk about that. But let me say this. We're at the bottom of the hour. If you're just now joining us, this is our first monthly health and wellness segment with Dr. Shirley Hill of Mo Faith Nutritional Services. We are live on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and are appreciating you for joining us. If you have any questions that are health and wellness related or related to the topic of discussion at hand, which is we're talking today about the genetics of COVID. Dr. Hill feels it's her responsibility on today to share with you, the background, understand what it is, and so we can better know how to handle it. Dr. Hill, I've been seeing up and down my timeline, I guess, not just starting this month, last month, I guess when the holiday season started, but more so it seems like December and January, people are just sick. They're just, and like you mentioned earlier, they're calling it a cold. Some are going ahead and trying to get a COVID test and seeing if it's that. And some of them are coming back, no, they don't have COVID, but they're still dealing with this upper respiratory, other kind of everything else. And I'm seeing it more and more and more now. So I'm so glad you're talking about this on today, because again, This is something that we need to know, take heed of, and be able to better prepare ourselves. We need to do some preventive maintenance as well. And I know you talk about that a lot. So yeah, do you want to touch on that? Because I'm sure you've been seeing it on social media, people asking for prayer because they're ill.
Yes. And my dilemma with that, and I believe in prayer. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I had to tell someone this the other night. Listen, I've been an evangelist since 1972. I had to pray for my daughter when she fell and died, and the Lord brought her back. I had to pray for my mama when she had a stroke and died. My other daughter was hit by a speeding car, and just all kind of crazy stuff. But the Lord delivered because of prayer. And so, because, people think, oh, you do that, you don't believe in prayer and this, that, and the other, because I say, prayer, this is a physical body. You have to do the things that it takes for a physical body. And the Bible says first natural, then spiritual.
That's right.
And so, we can clearly see when we're not so heavenly minded until we're not in the earthly good.
Mm-hmm.
We can see that when I have 20 people come in and lay hands, or I have 20 people come in and lay hands on my mother and she dies. And I've been saying for 3 months, she is healed. She is delivered. She is okay. Explain to me. I'm the sinner. And I say this all the time. Explain to me as a sinner. Make that make sense.
Yeah.
And so, and it is because the natural, we don't apply the natural to the natural man.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that we don't understand is that viruses mutate.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not even dealing with COVID-19. We COVID-19 has been gone.
Yeah.
We're almost not dealing with Omicron anymore. So let me give you something to think about. We had COVID-19. COVID-19 mutated to Omicron, right?
Right.
Omicron mutated to Alpha, Beta, Delta viruses. And so then we had EG5, and then we had BA2.86, and then we had JN1, which we called Eris. And I like to say his name because it meant chaos.
Mm.
And then we had Epsilon, and then we had Pango, and then we had Pango was a progenitor. Then we had B147. Then we had B1429. And then we had KB2. And then we had MC1. And then we had ZEC. And then we had KB3, which is another progenitor like COVID-19 and like Omicron. And then we had FLIRT, which is where we are now. We have FLIRT and we have ZEC. And we have H5N1. Now, that sounds like a lot, doesn't it?
Yes.
Since COVID-19, we have had 200 mutations.
Wow.
Yes. 200 mutations since 2019. And the variations come from the mutations.
Okay, right.
And, yeah. And so then when we have these variants, I always say variations, but we have these new variants. Why is it that we only hear about COVID-19?
Good question. I was about to say something, but yeah, that's a very good question.
And so then, if we only hear about COVID-19, go get your COVID-19 vaccination. How do we know which one of these 1,011, 200 and 200 mutations, which one are we getting vaccinated for?
Right.
Each
We
mutation,
don't know.
we don't know, and each mutation is not possible because each mutation brings with it a different genetic power. So then it's like when I have a baby, this is very easy to understand because it is the same thing that we do. We have a man and a woman, they get together and they do what they do, and then they bring in not another species, but they bring in another child.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that child is not the same as, not identical to the parent and not identical to the mother or the father, because they have 22 genes from the mother, 22 from the father, which is 44, and I think included in that is the sexual genes.
Mm-hmm.
So then that means that child is genetically different, though in the same family, has the same family genetic structure, but is yet different. And so, but with these viruses, they have more superpowers. So that means that the first COVID had 9 spikes. And so those spikes gave them the ability to enter into the cell membrane and then to insert themselves into the DNA and to cause all of the things that it caused. Okay, but Omicron had 30, I think it was 32 or 34. So one mutation, a jump from 9 to 32, 34. And then I think the next jump was 50 something. And we're at 1,011 plus mutations. How many mutations do we actually have, and how many variants are actually in the atmosphere? And so one of the reasons when you go and you get a negative test, but you still feeling like you have something, is because you do still have something. The test that you got was not made for that particular variant or that particular family.
Let me read. I'm going to interject and read this. Brandy did put up a comment. The COVID test we have will not detect these nasty viruses that are prevalent now.
Absolutely.
And I don't think people really realize that.
They don't, because they're not being told that. They're just being told, go get your injection. Go get your, listen now. It used to be in the beginning, it was that it will keep you from catching. So now, as we have progressed and we have learned better, now it will keep you from getting seriously worse. But our hospitals are filling up. Our hospitals are filling up, and we do have people that are dying. And those people still dying. And those people took their injections along with their boosters. And I have since 2020, I've been getting calls saying I took my I don't like to use the word, I took my injection, and I had all of my boosters. And why did I catch? Why am I in the hospital? Why can't I breathe? And so what we don't realize is that these injections, they're not long-lived. Whatever protections they have it for a very, They had it for a short period of time.
Yeah.
Now, when we first started with this entity, they said that we were told that there was no immunity to this virus. And then as they went along, they realized that there were people that had an immunity to it, because they had the SARS virus. They had a bout with the SARS virus 30 years ago.
Right.
So that meant that their natural immunity had kept them safe from COVID during the pandemic, and kept them safe from the bird flu back in the early I want to say 200s, you know what I mean, 2000s.
2000s, right.
And anything else that we had, it had kept them their own natural immunity. And so, which means that we need to do something, that we have to recognize that we have to do something, either besides or along with the injections, because the injections, they are not actually working working as they should. And so let's stop or put a pin right there. And I know I've got to go back, so don't let me forget that I just took a turn.
Okay.
But we don't realize that there's a difference between the immunity of the injection and your own natural immunity. When you read, and I want you to pay attention from now on, when you read or you hear something about the immunity with dealing with these entities, what you will hear is the immunity, they will say the vaccine immunity, that it only lasts for, or it didn't work against. They never say your natural immunity.
That's true.
Uh-huh.
Okay, when you think about it.
Yeah. And that is because your natural immunity will handle the job. It will get the job done. But it doesn't cost anything.
True. Which is probably, I don't know, if I can mesh this in together. I remember you mentioning that those who had to take the injection, whether it's for their job or whatever, you were saying that there was a way that they could, fast and get that out of their system. Is that so that their natural immunity could take over and help them? Or I don't know if I'm throwing two different concepts together or not, but that just kind of made me think about that.
Yeah. It is imperative that we learn, and that's exactly where I was going when I told you to put a pin in it.
Okay.
Okay, so then we even if we take the injection, our immunity has to be working. Yeah. Because those people that have ended up on the ventilator, those people that have ended up with the long haul conditions and all of that, it was because their immunity could not even, their immune system was not even strong enough to protect them from the injection. Because what we forget is that the injections has what they like to say is that the virus is not in the injection, which is a half truth, because the new injections, they have the viral particles in them. And so the virus, these particular viruses, and I say these because the more how can I say this? The more recent viruses, their superpowers are even greater than what there was before. And that's one of the reasons why we're in such a trouble. We're in such trouble, and we're in such trouble globally. And so then the way they work is that because they use the particles, then the particles are like, what's that game? What is that? It builds, there, is it the blocks? And then you can build a man, you can build a house, you can build a whatever, you
The
just
Legos?
take Legos. That's
Okay.
exactly what it is. They act like Legos.
Oh.
Uh-huh. And so then the particles, they attach and they rebuild themselves. And so now you still end up with the viruses. It's just that the particles, they have manipulated those particles so until when they get in the body, they can act like those Legos and rebuild themselves.
Wow. That's
Uh-huh.
deep.
That is deep, because if your immune system, and then we're talking about getting an injection every so many months or weeks or whatever that you're getting, then if your immune system is shot, you're going to be in trouble, because you don't have your body, your immune system will not have the ability to protect you from the particles that are rebuilding themselves, and you can find yourself in serious straits. That's one of the difficulties. That's why some people ended up on the ventilator.
Okay.
Yeah, because the lungs were overwhelmed. The
Wow.
lungs were overwhelmed, and the body could not protect itself from all of the particles and whatever was injected into the body. And so,
Mm.
yeah,
I have a
yeah. And so,
question.
say it again.
I said, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
This is so deep. Again, guys, throw in your comments or questions if you have anything for Dr. Hill on today, or maybe you're just taking it all in. But we are opening it up to you as well. But my question is, and you, oh goodness, all I kept thinking about as you were talking is the long COVID.
Yeah.
Um, the long cough
Yes.
that has occurred. How does all of that relate into what you're discussing on today?
The Legos. The body is constantly, the particles are constantly building.
Yeah.
And so, there it takes time to build. And so you think you've got a release. You think you have been that you see yourself getting over it. And then the whatever time period it takes for these Legos to rebuild and reassemble themselves, now you are back into the throes of this entity.
Whew.
And yeah, we're in a mess. We're in a mess. Now let's go back to the natural immunity and
Okay.
what we should do and how we can do it. We must, well, we should, let me say it that way. We should um, understand that our immunity is our power. Our immunity is what will rescue us from this dreaded conundrum that we have found ourselves in. Our immunity is our God. What does the Bible say? That our bodies are wonderfully and fearfully made.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in this area right here, man, oh man, we can walk through this earth realm, really. without ever having to deal with any of these viruses, bacteria, fungus, any of these things that we are so fearful to leave out of our houses. We are, or not fearful enough. Let me say that we're not fearful enough. But and we are woefully ignorant to the devil's devices. Let me just say that, because as Dr. Hunt said, the devil knows every way there is to steal, to kill, and to destroy us. Now, this is going to sound like a fantasy. This, what I'm getting ready to tell you, is going to sound like a fantasy, but it is scientific. It is scientifically proven that sugar erases the memory of the cells. And they've been saying for years that Americans eat about 160 pounds of sugar a year. And that we give our children, when they get up in the morning, we give them sugar. When they go to school, school gives them sugar. When they come home for lunch, or they come home for whatever time they get off, they go to the pantry and they get some more sugar. And then we give them this enriched flour. And so now, you know, I'm 74, and I never, ever, ever heard of Alzheimer's and dementia when I was a kid, and when I was grown and had my own children when I started realizing there was such a thing as Alzheimer's and dementia, because you're not old enough to remember this, but we didn't have this in our community.
Oh, I believe it. I believe it.
Our elders passed down our history. Yeah. And just like today, our history is being removed from schools. And and now it's going to become illegal for us to teach our children their own history. We have been there before. And so we had to pass down our history from generation to generation. And the body may have been feeble, but oh shoot, our aunts and uncles and mamas and daddies, grandmamas and granddaddies, we sat in a circle around them. And because I remember we sat until my last aunt passed away. We would get together on holidays and whatever. And one of the greatest memories was that we got chairs, put them around her, and just let her talk.
Beautiful.
Let her talk about our history. And so where did Alzheimer's pop up? Where did it come from? Now, all of a sudden, you can't remember your name. You don't recognize your husband. You don't know who your children are. Where did that come from?
That's deep.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the things that we don't know is that all the cells in our bodies, that they have the DNA, right? And what is the DNA? The DNA is the blueprint for this physical body. And so the genes just have different switches, because you think we'd be a big finger or we'd be a big eye, and if all of the cells in the body had the same instructions in them, but they don't, because we've got the genes that switches them on and off, and so that makes them carry out a different assignment.
Right.
Make a finger, make a toe, make some hair, make a nose. So, and but if we are eating things, putting things in our body, they're causing. So let me finish the thought that I started. Our cells have the ability. This is just, every time I think about it, it just blows my mind. And Dr. Hunt was right here this morning teaching in the spirit. But this right here that I'm getting ready to tell you I mean, it is a first natural, then spiritual. It was, I mean, my mind was going, oh man, every cell in the body has a memory all the way back to the egg and the sperm. Now, that's what science is. So, what does that mean? Cellular memory has the ability to remember. That's why the body repairs itself. That's
Wow.
why it reveals itself. That's why it restores itself. That's why you can lose your fingernail slamming in the door, and that fingernail will grow back just like it was before. That's why all your hair can slide down the sink in the at the salon, and you can end up bald headed from that relaxer and that hair if you don't damage the DNA that's in those cells. Those cells will remember how to grow that hair back the same color that it was before, because the cells of the body have memory. So then that means that when the body gets sick, it shouldn't stay sick.
Mm-mm.
Because all the cells in the body remember when the body was well, and they remember how to make the body well again,
Yeah.
unless they forget.
Mm, mm, mm. A lot of forgetting going on.
A lot of forgetting going on. A lot of forgetting going on.
Let me read this comment. Brandy, you're hilarious. Well, she didn't mean it as a joke, but she said, we all follow Dr. Hill thoroughly, so we don't have a lot of questions. She does have some laughing emojis after that. But yeah, Brandy, thank you for that. I, of course, was just making sure that those, I have a new platform that's watching on today, wanting to let them know if they have any questions or comments for Dr. Hill, they can definitely um, place them on here or reach out to her directly. But yeah, this is, oh my gosh. And and I was going to ask you, how do we get around this? And you
Mhm.
just got through explaining that, and I'm hoping that that is something that we all can take in, because Dr. Hill, I have heard so many individuals that I know personally who have said that they really, I guess I can use this word. Hate is such a strong word, but they hate that they, took injections or, weren't well versed and didn't have the knowledge about what was happening to their bodies and what to do. They wish they can kind of, go back in time and do it differently, because so many are dealing with different things. I mean, stuff like you talked about the Legos attaching. Things are just
Yeah.
attaching and just, being created from that one thing. But this has been tremendous on today, Dr. Hill. The genetics of COVID. I think we all learned from this on today. There's some things you were telling me today. I'm like, wow, that's deep. That is very deep. Um, Many of you go on social media, you go online. I think we have resources to try and understand what's happening. It may not be told to us on the news or what have you, but we need to research and look these things up. And we definitely need to make sure that we are doing it for ourselves, for our loved ones. Um, our bodies, our physical bodies are at stake. Um, if you look down, I'm displaying on the screen a way to contact Dr. Hill directly. If you would like to learn more life-saving information about nutrition, virus prevention, disease prevention, etc., please visit Dr. Hill's website at www.mophethns.com. That's Mo Faith Nutritional Services. There you can also book consultations, workshops, read her blog posts, watch instructional videos, and purchase healing products like her resale line. And that can take me into, if you want, and I'll have you wrap up, but if you can talk about your resale products, Dr. Hill, because you kind of mentioned that earlier when you had to use it for yourself for the little incident that you had on yesterday. I'm grateful that you're well. Can you talk about your resale products for us?
Yes, resale is a product. I used to be a hairstylist. I used to, I thought I was a hair mogul. I had 5 beauty salons in the Chicago area. The first Black-owned beauty salon in downtown Chicago. And so I was at church one night. I remember I was at church one night, and Dr. Hunt was then evangelist, Lord Michael Hunt.
Wow.
And I was in line with going around. He was, giving a word of praying for folks, that kind of thing. And so when he got to me, he said, "What is this I see you making?" I said, "I don't know." And he said, "Well, what do you do?" And I told him, I said, "I do hair. I have a beauty salon." He said, he thought and he thought. No, first he said, "That's not it." He said, "That's not it." So I just stood there, if that ain't it, what is it? And so he said, he said, "God is going to give you a formula."
Mm.
Yeah. He said, "God's going to give you a formula." He said, and this formula is going to be it's going to have a house, it's going to be a household name. That's what he said. And he said, he's going to give you a chemist. He said, "You're not going to have to look for him. You're not going to have to find him. God is going to give you a chemist."
Mm.
He said, "And God's going to give you the name." He said, "And when you'll know the name of the product, it's the name when you say, 'Oh, that's not it.'" He said, "When you say, 'Oh, that's not it,'" he said, "That's it." And so, and that was that. And so I remember I started, because I'll start some. If you give me a little bit, I'm gonna start working on it. And so I started calling companies looking for ingredients and natural ingredients, and I wouldn't tell them what. I just said, I have a product. I want all natural ingredients, and it's external, not internal. Well, actually, it's both internal and external. And can you give me some information? And it was funny. This young lady said, after I had made several calls, this young lady said, "Oh, our chemist is right here. Let you talk to him."
Wow.
And she put him on the phone and we talked. And I promise you, that man sent me so many natural ingredients that I had how you have the pantry? It was all the way up to the ceiling.
Wow.
I think I had enough stuff for like 2 years. And then whenever I needed to call, I could give him a call. And he would say, "Well, oh no, the reason that you only need the head of a pen is because if you use more than the head of a pen, it's going to kill you."
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. And so that's how resale came about. That's how resale came about. And
And what do you
resale.
call resale? Is healing in a bottle or something? What do you call it?
Oh, see, now why would you ask me something? That's what everybody else call it. Let me see what they call it. They call it something in a bottle. They do. Brandy, put it down there, please, because that's what everybody else call. I don't know what they call. They do call it something in a bottle.
Well, that's what I call it.
That's what the people's call it. I cannot think of what it is that they call it because I just call it resale. But it does, because it does so many different things. And it has, oh my Lord, for all of the years, I've got children that were born. Their mother brought them home from the hospital and put them on resale.
Mm-hmm.
They put them on resale from the womb.
Okay.
And now they are grown and they still, you still make that stuff? I need some of that, you know. And they are grown, and it's just amazing. It has always worked the same. It has the original formula that God gave, and it is what it is, and
I
that is
love it.
because it heals at the cellular level.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah. Brandy put in
yeah.
here a miracle in a bottle.
That's what they call it. Miracle in a bottle. That is what they call it.
And
And
repeat the last sentence you said about it, the healing at the cellular level. What did you say?
at the cellular level, it repairs at the cellular level. So resale and vitamin C, to me, resale and the vitamin C complex. The
Mm-hmm.
compound, because vitamin C is not ascorbic acid, it's not citric acid. Vitamin C is a compound like vitamin B is a compound. They work together. They work together in unison because vitamin C, it protects the cell.
Yeah.
It acts as a shield, and resale, it repairs at the cellular level. And
Beautiful.
so it repairs the DNA. You know, so after the virus or the cancer cell is broken into the DNA, the resale, it facilitates the repair, but the vitamin C facilitates the prevention, not allowing them to get in that cell unless you do sugar, because sugar goes around that shield
Mm-hmm.
and opens a back door to allow that virus and that cancer cell to get in.
We.
Yeah,
We.
yeah.
All right. Yep.
Mhm.
All right. So that's why you need to go to her website again. Mo Faith, MOPHETH. I'll show it on the screen again. NS.com. You can purchase her products, her resale products that I just asked her to talk about in detail for us. Healing products of resale, her resale line. You can definitely go there and get it. I am a true bona fide witness that it works because I do purchase and use her resale products, which is matter of fact, I need another order. So I'm gonna have to go on after we get after we get off here. But I have dealt with most of my life. Um, well, had to go to a dermatologist or whatever, and you have the different I don't want to call them rashes, well, they were, that's what they were when I was growing up. I wished I'd known you when I was growing up, but anyway, but every once in a while my skin will kind of break out, and I know she's going to relate that back to my diet, which is true, but I will grab that resale, and it definitely is healing at the cellular level. I just have to do my other, vitamin C and everything else to make sure that it's working on the inside as well. But I use that on me. I think over the holiday we were out, and it may have been the weather too, because it was different weather, but my skin was kind of, rising up or whatever. And I was like, I got my resale with me. And I was like, shoo, 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 shoo. And then it was just almost like it instantly, disappeared, really. But I said, I'd like to say I'm a witness that it works. So you make sure you guys check her out. Not only for her product line, if you want to have a consultation, I have individuals calling me all the time, and I'm always directing them to your website and your way to see if whatever they're dealing with, you can help them with. So we thank you for that. Do you have anything to wrap us up with on today's statement or anything? Something else you may want to get across to us regarding today's topic, the genetics of COVID?
I do. Thank you. Because I know somebody's going to say, well, you didn't tell us what to do.
You're
Listen,
right.
your body, there are really only three things that you need to do. Your body, your DNA, enzymes, and because DNA is the instruction, enzymes are the workers, and DNA, enzymes, and protein. Now we know about protein, but the protein that we know about is meat, animal products. and we should not be eating it. And even though protein is what the body uses to make body parts, but because of the DNA, the body cannot use animal protein because your DNA doesn't have the instructions to make animal parts. It doesn't have the instructions to make chicken. It doesn't have the instructions to make beef and pork and hot dogs and all of those. It doesn't have the DNA instructions for that. Chickens had the DNA instructions for chicken parts. For that, to you take that protein and make body parts. And so then we need amino acids. We need amino acids. Amino acids are all only found in raw foods. They're found in plants, and the body takes amino acids and make the protein that is for the human body, because the DNA only has instructions that will take and use the amino acids and form the DNA that form the protein that the body repairs itself with. So we need the enzymes. Enzymes, enzymes are the workers. They are the builders. They are enzymes. They carry out over 100,000 100,000 functions. I believe it's daily. And without those enzymes, those functions they're not carried out. Okay. And so then where the enzymes come from? They come from raw foods, from plants. And so then we have said the protein, said the amino acids, and then said the enzymes. If you have those three things right there, your body can do whatever it needs to do. It can repair itself, it can rebuild itself, it can maintain itself, it can all of that is needed. It can do it because it has the materials. But when you fill the body with animal protein that the DNA doesn't have the ability to read or use, when you fill the body with chemicals, when you fill the body with chemicals that are not the ingredients and the chemicals that come out of the plants, then you are poisoning yourself. Yeah. And then all of those things, and then the sugar, of course, the sugar that makes every cell in your body go into dementia.
Wow.
Yeah. And so sometimes you see people that they just drop dead. And they say, but they were so healthy.
Yeah.
They were so healthy. They had no conditions, no diseases. They just dropped dead. Why did they just drop dead? Because the cells of the body maybe they forgot how to live. Maybe they forgot how to repair themselves. Maybe something was placed in the body that was such an attack that the cells of the body could not recover from it instantaneously. And so that is my last word to you. If you give the body what it needs, it will protect you against anything. Your immune system is that gang that's in the hood, that gang that will come together. They'll come together and you'll wish you never walked through that neighborhood. That's your immune system does not play. And your immune system, it will destroy any entity because it takes its DNA and then it memorizes and it stores that DNA. So 30 years from now, when you come up against them again, hey, Rambo wakes up because he's carrying the memory, the DNA of that entity, and he gets right on up and does what he does.
Right.
Yeah.
I always love when you describe it that way. I think that's so brilliant. But wow. Okay, guys, that is, she summarized it. That is it in a nutshell, the genetics of COVID. our first monthly health and wellness segment of 2025. Has just occurred today with Dr. Shirley Hill, MoFaith Nutritional Services. Now, if you are just not joining this your first time, make sure you come back with us. We're here weekly at 12 noon Central Standard Time is when we air Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette, brought to you by Get Caught in the Net Incorporated. Again, I appreciate each of you for joining us on today, for your comments. If you have to reach out to Dr. Hill, again, there's her website, www.mophetns.com. And she will be glad to assist you. Health and wellness. That's her baby. That's what she talks about. That's what she focuses on. And we appreciate her. Thank you again, Dr. Hill. We appreciate you every month coming on and joining us and giving us insights into things that we didn't know, or you're enhancing and giving us more knowledge on it. So thank God for you. You guys, next week, I had mentioned this last week. We thank God for last week having Dr. Lord Michael Hunt on for our first Wisdom Wednesday of 2025. Awesome segment. If you didn't get a chance to catch it, you need to go back and listen to it from last Wednesday, the 15th. It's on my page on Facebook. It's on Instagram. And so you won't miss it, rather, is what I want to say. So make sure you do that. Next week, as I started saying, I am going to highlight a young lady who is, you have in January, they call it a dry January for those who are wanting to take that whole month off of drinking alcohol, right? My next guest on next week, she started off with dry January, but it continued on, and it's been over a year now. She's over how many days? Whatever it is. It's been a year of her alcohol-free journey. And so we're going to highlight Suki J is her handle on social media. Her full name is Sakia J. Robinson. And I'm so excited that she is going to come on and talk about her journey, how she started off. Some people start off the dry January. They say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And then they kind of fall off, but we want to highlight someone who can encourage you to continue on, especially sometimes, health-wise. Dr. Hill, she also became vegan. It's been a long time. Yeah. And the Lord has really blessed her. So I really want to encourage those of you that are watching, and maybe there's somebody that may have had some challenges, along the way, whether it's with alcohol or with their diet. She's going to come in with the 1-2 punch package on next week and talk to you about, and she's going to be transparent about her journey, because it's not necessarily always easy. For individuals, but we want to encourage you that, especially if this is something that your body is telling you need to do, then you need to do it. So meet me on next week. The time will change, not at 12 noon, at 6 p.m. next Wednesday, January 29th. So I want you to take a look at the promo for next week. And thank you guys again for your comments. I think Brandy placed on here, great show. We appreciate you for coming in and joining us. So take a look at the promo for next week, and we'll see you on next Wednesday, 6 p.m. You have a little time on that day, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. All right. So take a look, and we'll see you soon. Thanks again for joining us. On the next session of Get Caught in the Net.
Get caught in a net with